Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Eric, a cat who loved to think. I like to solve difficult questions. Here's the place I share and discuss my solution for the problems. Let's start to talk about today's topic. We are living in a remarkable age. An age in which artificial intelligence can write essays, create illustrations, and even help us produce computer code. It is no surprise that many people have started asking, if AI can do everything, do I still need to learn? It's an entirely reasonable question. AI has certainly made many tasks faster and easier. But the fact that AI can assist us does not mean that the need for learning has disappeared. There are a few common responses people give. First, AI is a tool, not a mind. It can calculate, organize, and generate content, but it cannot choose a direction for you or set your goals. Only you can decide what counts as a meaningful question, and learning is what develops that ability to think clearly and purposefully. Second, learning is how we understand the world. AI can hand you an answer, but without learning, you have no way of knowing whether that answer is correct. Someone without judgment is easily led astray by wrong or misleading information. Third, learning helps you keep improving, while AI simply speeds up the process. The more you know, the more effectively AI can assist you. Those who know how to use AI are not the ones who get replaced. They are the ones who create the most value with it. Lastly, we do not learn in order to outperform AI. We learn to become fuller, more capable versions of ourselves. Knowledge is not merely a tool. It shapes the way we think, the values we hold, and the creativity we express. All of these arguments are valid reasons why learning remains essential. However, they are not enough to convince someone who already believes that AI has removed the need to learn. These points only persuade people who already appreciate the importance of learning, and those who reject that importance simply lack the foundation needed to be convinced by them. For that reason, in this video, I will explain how to persuade others that learning remains necessary, even in a world where AI exists. To explain this method, I want to begin by sharing the idea that inspired it, a fascinating and profoundly insightful philosophical problem known as Meno's paradox. This paradox first appears in Plato's dialogue Meno. In the text, Meno challenges Socrates with a question that seems simple, yet is actually deeply complex. Socrates, how are we supposed to search for something we do not know at all? If you already know what you're looking for, you don't need to search. But if you don't know what you're looking for, how will you even recognize it when you find it? This is what we call Meno's paradox. Put simply, the paradox highlights a contradiction within the idea of learning. If we don't know something, we cannot begin searching for it. But if we already know it, then there is no need to learn. So, how exactly is learning even possible? To answer this, Socrates offered his famous theory of recollection. He suggested that learning is not the acquisition of new knowledge, but the awakening of truths already present within the soul. In other words, the soul knew the truth before birth, but has forgotten it. Learning is merely remembering. Mystical as it sounds, Socrates used a demonstration to make his point. He asked a slave boy, someone who had never studied geometry, a series of guided questions. Step by step, the boy reasoned his way to a geometric conclusion. Socrates didn't give him any answers. He only asked questions. Therefore, he declared, "See, this is not learning. It is recollection." How should we view this today? Modern thought may not accept that the soul knows everything before birth, but the paradox still teaches us something essential. The starting point of learning is not absolute ignorance. It is the awareness of a question. We might not know the answer, but we can recognize that I don't know, and that very sense of uncertainty is what pushes us to explore. So Meno's paradox does not deny the possibility of learning. Instead, it reminds us that true learning begins with inquiry. As long as we are willing to ask, to doubt, and to think, then even from a place of total unknowing, we can move step by step towards understanding. Although the paradox was originally used to challenge Socrates and cast doubt on learning itself, it highlights a crucial insight. If we do not know something, we cannot begin to seek it. This idea is precisely what will help us understand how to persuade people, especially in an age of AI, that learning is still necessary. We can reframe the insight into a very similar, very practical question. If we don't know something, can we then ask AI to do it for us? Imagine this. A mathematical formula is placed in front of you, yet you have no idea what a formula actually is. You don't know that it's meant for calculation, or even what it's supposed to do. In that moment, could you really ask AI to calculate it for you? Obviously not, because AI is only a tool, and using any tool requires knowledge. Think about history for a moment. When cars were invented, humans could travel faster than ever before. But if you don't know how to drive, don't understand the controls, and don't know the rules of the road, then a car, no matter how fast, will simply sit there, useless. AI is exactly the same. It can amplify our abilities, but it cannot replace our understanding. Knowledge is the key to controlling AI. AI follows our instructions, but if we don't understand the nature of the problem, we cannot give it the right instructions. Someone who knows nothing about medicines but asks AI to diagnose illnesses could easily be misled. Someone unfamiliar with ethics might use AI to generate harmful or biased content without realizing it. We need knowledge, not because AI is weak, but because only those who understand the subject can use AI responsibly and effectively. Knowledge allows us to judge whether an AI-generated answer is reasonable, to question its assumptions, and to create forms of value that AI cannot replace: imagination, judgment, and moral reflection. AI can execute, but it cannot understand. It can imitate language, but it does not grasp meaning. It can write mathematical expressions, but it does not contemplate why something is true. All of this still requires human reasoning and human learning. In fact, even people who have human assistants must learn how to instruct them properly before they can benefit from their help. To illustrate this, let's use a simple simulation game. A scenario that clearly demonstrates why knowledge is essential in order to direct an assistant, whether human or artificial. The game works like this. Without directly naming the target object, the player must use a limited number of adjectives to make the host give out what that object is. To give a concrete example, imagine you are the host and the person you want to persuade is the player. The target object is chocolate, and the limit is 3 adjectives. The player must describe chocolate using only 3 adjectives, without ever saying the word chocolate. After receiving those adjectives, the host must provide an answer, an object that fits all 3 adjectives at the same time. Crucially, the host should try to avoid answering chocolate whenever possible. That is the entire structure of the game. Under the condition that the host tries to avoid naming the target, it becomes extremely difficult for the player to win. The only way the player can succeed is by having a solid understanding of the target object, which means the player must have learned something about it. But beyond this, the game actually simulates what happens when someone tries to operate AI without having the necessary knowledge. In this analogy, the host represents the AI, the player represents the user, and the target object represents the task the user wants the AI to perform. The rule forbidding the player from naming the target symbolizes the user's lack of knowledge about the task itself. The game demonstrates that without knowledge, giving effective instructions becomes almost impossible. And this is the perfect illustration of why, even if AI can do everything, we still need to learn. This is how I would convince others that learning remains essential, even in a world where AI is everywhere. If you agree with the reasons I've explained in this video, please share it with your family, your friends, or anyone who needs help persuading others that learning is still necessary, even with AI by our side. That's all for this video. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Every like, subscribe, and comment are a contribution to solving those difficult questions. I look forward to your joining our discussion and contribution to solving the difficult questions. Once again, thank you for your watching. Goodbye!